Thank you. A question came over onto the question board, and I'd like to address this because these are excellent questions. One is, if your room is small, how do you get the space? So I gave that example in New York. I mean, these are old buildings, so old that the marble steps were pitted, were dipped in from all the thousands of feet that had gone past them. The room was teeny. The carpet area was, when I was standing there to teach, I wanted to squat down next to a child, and I couldn't because there wasn't room. There was barely room for my feet. So those kids were crunched as tight as they could be, and they were sixth graders. And they were sixth graders in a classroom that included some kids who probably lived in that neighborhood, and some kids who possibly didn't have a home, and some kids who came in from very different parts of the city, because at that point you could get free bus passes if you're a student in New York City Public Schools. So the public schools were diverse beyond measure in any way you can think. So obviously they'd been trained to sit close to each other, and they did. Excuse me. So truly work at that. Proximity matters. It makes them more focused. I had a group of teachers that I was doing a 3-day, writing. We wrote a whole unit in 3 days. Shock. And the last day we ran out of time. So I didn't call them up. The people who complained the most about coming up said, I couldn't pay attention. It makes a difference. You don't have very big.
Well, I'm kind of fortunate. I think mine are bigger than most. But in classes like your second year, like when Michelle was teaching 8th grade, she teaches 6th grade now, my co-teacher, she had a really small room, but she still brought her big 8th graders up. It would kind of be like what we do here, the chairs closest to the meeting area, they could kind of stay there and smush together and come forward, and then the rest of the kids filled in on bean bags and stuff up in front of her. And she still did it with her 8th graders.
Yeah.
I have two teachers. One's a 1st grade and one's a 5th grade teacher who went to alternate seating. They have 50% of the seating spots in their classroom. The kids share desks, and that's how they created a gathering place within their classrooms. And at the 5th grade level, I mean, I think I have pictures on my iPad if anybody wants to see this classroom. It is a teeny tiny classroom with 32 5th grade bodies, and those kids gather, and she fought it, and when her colleague convinced her to go with eliminating half of her desks, she said she will never go back. And this was a very seasoned teacher. This was big shifts, so that's another thing to think about. Eliminate half your desks.
Another question, when a teacher tries a teaching point, how do you assess, when you ask the students to try that teaching point, how do you assess that? Was that an answer?
I have one, but no, I would love to hear you.
Well, the question goes on, wait till it's published? Probably not, because I can't tell by then. Maybe. During conferring? Absolutely. And?
I will have my kids write what they're going to do on a sticky note. So for example, with the dash thing, I would have them write the sentence or phrase that they were going to try a dash in on a sticky note, and I have them stick it to my anchor chart before they go off on their own. And so I very quickly go up to those sticky notes and I sort them, like this kid's got it, this kid's got it, this kid's got it, this kid doesn't. And my line of doesn't, I pick those up, and those are my first conferences. Mm-hmm. That's how I hit it.
Okay.
With the teaching point.
And it could be a conferring group.
Yes, depending on what they need. But
Right.
That's how I drive my conferring, like who I'm going to hit first is those sticky notes all go on my anchor chart. And I have them put their name on the back side, the sticky part, so that they're not up for everybody to see, because my kids don't love to have stuff set so it's safe. But that right there drives, I mean, there will be like those, 5 or 6 kids that I need to hit right away before they go off and do things poorly. And the rest of them I know already have that skill down pretty well, and they're off to a good start.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'll hand this back.